Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you once again for tuning in and for joining Controversy 7 Ministry. I want to share with all of you a very short testimony here of how I worked with a witch one time, and there is something to learn from this. And this was years ago, and I worked pretty much. These women, they came from, I believe it was Mexico. Yes, it was from Mexico. They were brought from Mexico to be temp workers. And so what happened was, while I was working with them, the one who was the witch was the one who had the promotion. She was the one that was promoted to be a manager. And this is when I used to work at a fast food restaurant. So the thing is, what ultimately happened was that there was something there that was kind of off, but, we just continued to work. We never really saw eye to eye, necessarily. She did her thing, I did my thing, whatever. But nonetheless, and then there was the other women and some other, I had obviously my friends that we were working with together and stuff. And I was cool with those other girls from Mexico as well. So ultimately what happened was, there was a time that I was working day, like we do day. I was doing day shift and night shifts. Nonetheless, so what happened was that while we were working there, one of the ladies from Mexico came and told me, she says, "Emmanuel, such and such is a witch, right?" And I said, "Really?" Because they all lived together, by the way. All these temp workers, they were working together. They lived in the same house. So one of the girls came and she told me, she said, "Hey, you know that such and such, I'll just call her Party A. Hey, Emmanuel, do you know that Party A is a witch, right?" And I said, "No, why do you say that?" And then she said, "Well, Party A practices voodoo, and she does all kinds of witchcraft." And I said, "What kind of witchcraft? What do you mean? What do you mean?" And I immediately then said, I said, "Well, does she have like the altar? Does she have a shrine that she has dedicated for this witchcraft?" And she said, "Yes." And I was like, "Wow, that's crazy." So she has a shrine that she burns incense and all sorts of things in there. She said yes. And so then what happened was, she told me a bunch of things. And the one thing that this girl said, she said, "You know what? The next time, if you want, when she's working, when she's on her shift, I'll call you. You come over to our house, and we'll show you the shrine that she burns incense to. And we'll show you the voodoo dolls that she has and all these things." And so I said, "Okay, sure, I will do that. I'll go to their house to look at the shrine and the altar." And so then before I went there, what I had to do, obviously, was I had to pray. I had to pray before going in there to that house. And I don't recommend this, though. You see, let me tell you this. Suppose that there is, you do know that there is an occult museum, right? There's an occult museum, and this museum has all sorts of demonic things, demonic items. They have like demonic altars, demonic shrines, demonic dolls, all kinds of things evil. It's all inside in this museum. They have all kinds of even haunted dolls that they have put in Hollywood sets and stuff. They put them there. Cursed things are inside this museum. All right. So then, but what I find interesting is that this museum, there's a priest at the front of the door that will bless you before you enter in. So the priest is going to will pray over you and sprinkle water and bless you and stuff, and then say, "Now you can go into this demonic museum, and you will go and look at the occult, dolls and voodoo things and all kinds of things." like so you can go and look at that and entertain it. How can you mix light with darkness? It just doesn't work. It just doesn't work. However, nonetheless, it wasn't like I was going there because why I was going there, like I was basically going there to prove whether this was, it was a legitimate thing or not. But nonetheless, so I did night shift, and and that girl, party A, she does day shift. So then what happened was, the same day then that the next day, like the next morning, the girl came to me because we did night shift together with the girl who told me this. She came to me and she told me, whenever you're ready, Emmanuel, give me a shout. I'll come over and I'll show you the things. So then I went home, and I believe it was somewhere in the afternoon. I woke up, went over, I went over to their house, and I showed up, talked to them obviously on the phone, and then after that, I went to their house. So she's like, "Yep, here is her house, or here's our house. Welcome." Da 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 da. So then they take me to the basement where this girl, where party A, where her shrine is, and guess what I find? I see an altar. They opened the door, and I saw the altar, and I saw the voodoo dolls, and I saw all the things the incense that she's burning, and all those things. And so the lady showed to me and proved to me that was a witch the whole time that we've been working with. And you know what's funny? Is anybody who looks at this lady, like, you would never think that she's into witchcraft at all. She is a beautiful girl. She is a beautiful young lady. You see this lady, you would be like, yeah, she's fine. That is how she looks. All right? A lot of men would be like, she probably would be like an 8.5, out of 10. So, so she's definitely beautiful. But you would never guess that she was a witch. But there's one thing that she had. She had terrible attitude. All right? She looked like she's always on pistosity syndrome. That's all I will say. All right? So anything could just light her up. Nonetheless, after this event, man, I went home. I prayed. I had to pray again. I prayed again. But then the same night, I was going to my shift. She finishes in the evening. I start at night. So clearly that day she was home. But then I went to work at that night shift. And so then what happened was, as we went over to the night shift to do our jobs, we're doing our thing and everything like that. And then the following morning, when she's supposed to come in, I'm tripping. I'm thinking to myself, man, maybe her spirits caught wind that somebody went and opened the door and spied on her altar. And then we find out that she had epilepsy and seizure and all kinds of reactions that happened to her, and that we found out that she got rushed to the hospital, and she was rushed to the hospital, and that she had all seizures and all kinds of things. Man, that morning I had to go pray Israel some more. But nonetheless, down the road, this lady ended up, opening up to me. Party A, I spoke to her, and I tried to kind of slide it to try and see if she'll be able to, open up and tell me. And then she ended up opening up to me, and she told me about, about her family and her lineage, and she told me that she does palm reading, and she does different types of like tarot cards reading. She does tarot card readings, and she has all kinds of things that she does, on the side that is pertaining to the occult. She told me, she says, this is her words. She said, and I quote, she says, I'm a white witch. I said, white witch? What's the what do you mean by white witch? And she said, I'm a good witch. I'm a white witch, and the bad witches are known as black witches. So there's a white witch and there's a black witch. That's what she told me. And so then what happened then was, as as she's describing these things to me, I asked her, because I had read some things before about witches, and they have rings on their ankles and on their toenails. I asked her, I said, do you have any rings by any chance on your ankles? And she said, yes, I do. And I asked her, I said, what is that ring for? And she told me, so the rings that they wear actually is connected to powers. If I can put that in quotations. I want you to think about this here. Do you know, like, if you find women or men in Hollywood and they've got rings on their toes, rings around their ankles, all right, ankle rings, don't take that as a normal thing. That is something that strictly has to do with witchcraft. Anything that's like a ring around their ankles, that is something that is connected to spiritualism. So then the lady then began to tell me how she became this white witch, in quotations. What happened was, her mother had kicked a black cat. The black cat was kind of being a nuisance in their neighborhood. This was back in Mexico now. Her mother kicked a black cat and wounded the ribs of the black cat. The cat that the woman kicked, it was because that black cat was hanging around their yard, around their doorpost or whatever. So then when she kicked the black cat, wounded the ribs of that cat, the next thing that happened that she told me was that their neighbor, who was also a female, their neighbor had sustained damage and a wound somewhere, and her ribs were wounded. You understand? So this happened to their neighbor. I'm telling you people, you need to understand that real witchcraft exists. People do partake in witchcraft to the point where they will, and I'm not, it's gonna sound like something from a Hollywood movie. It's gonna sound like something from a Hollywood movie. But all I will say is that, okay, I'll tell you one thing here, just to give you a better perspective. So this is a true event that happened. Police were chasing a thief, and the thief was running. I can't remember which country it was, but the thief was running, and as the thief was running, the police were right on his tail. The thief then jumped over a fence, and immediately, like not long after that, the cops caught up to the thief, to the fence, and as they were hopping over the fence, they found a goat. The man was gone. Now there was a goat. All right? That's all I'll say. But nonetheless, this lady, party A, as she was involved, as this happened, shortly after her mother kicked the cat and wounded the cat, then her mother fell into great sickness. Her mother became in great sickness. Her health was deteriorating. She would go to the hospital and the doctors will say there's nothing wrong with you. She will go for all these CT scans and all these things that they would send her to. She's describing to them the symptoms, but the doctors check, in every single thing that they check about her, there's absolutely nothing wrong with her. But she's being tormented with sickness that cannot be detected by human technology. So then what happened then was that her brother began to see visions, or began to see almost like, like zombie-like corpses in their home. And he would have nightmares. And then for her, she began to experience things like she wouldn't see certain things. Certain things will disappear from the house and she wouldn't see them. Her mother would send her to go and, let's say, bring a banana, from the basket. She'll go and she'll look at the basket. Nothing's there. She'll go to her mother and say, Mom, there's no bananas. There's no fruits there. Her mother will send her again. She'll look and there's nothing in the basket. Her mother then goes and and says, here's the banana. Like she'll take the banana. And then she'll get a spanking from it. Nonetheless, to make the long story short, her mother ended up basically, consulting a witch doctor. And then that witch doctor then told her mother that what you're going through is something that is not physical, but it is spiritual. And so what happened was, there is a society, there's a secret society that placed a curse upon you. And that secret society that put the curse upon you, they did it because you wounded one of their members. You hurt one of their members. And because you did this, they placed a curse upon you. And now the only way for you to get away from all of this is for you to sacrifice goats, or to sacrifice some animals, and also for you to then be initiated into the cult. And once you get initiated, then will all these problems disappear from your life. And also, in addition to this, you will receive different gifts and different types of, different types of spiritual gifts that the spirits will give to you. Her mother, wanting peace from all of this, went and she did as they commanded, and she sacrificed, and then she basically sold herself and her children, and including this lady that I was working with now. She was a youngin back then, but she also was initiated. So all of them were initiated and given certain quote unquote gifts. And I did ask her if any of those gifts, the powers, are synonymous to some of the rings that they wear, and she said absolutely it is. I want you to understand this here, because many people actually buy into this, where there is such thing as a white witch or a good witch, and there is something called a bad witch. As if there's a difference between witchcraft and witchcraft. You understand what I'm saying? Because whether you are a white witch or a black witch or a good witch or a bad witch, what are you? You are still a witch. You still have a familiar spirit. Same, it's just a matter of what avenue is one going. One is saying that she's practicing, palm readings, or practicing divination, or practicing all kinds of things, maybe channeling the spirits of the dead. In that case, necromancy. She's not going out of her way to go and kill people. No, she's not. She's not going out of her way to go and put a hex upon people. Then that's where they'll classify the bad witch, the black witch, or the dark witch, the evil witch. They will classify that as the one who does the hexing, that will do the they all do it. They all have the pentagrams and all those things. And they don't shy away from the symbol of the snake, because the symbol of the snake to them is not a bad thing. It's a symbol of wisdom to them. So, in their right minds, in their minds, I'm just going to say, in their minds, it is justified. They vindicate themselves. But here's the thing, friends. A witch is a witch. There is no other way of looking. That a witch is a witch. That's just how it is. You see what I'm saying? You don't know who is a witch. A lot of the girls that you watch online, that you find to be super attractive, sexually appealing, models, like curvy, all those things, a lot of those girls, face facts, a lot of those girls are witches. And you don't know that. A lot of them are witches. And you know what? They feed off of your energy. They thrive off of your attention, the attention that you give to them. That's what they thrive off of. When you give them these attentions that they want, that is what feeds them. Take that attention away from them and watch what happens. There are several ways that you can be able to detect, you can be able to identify witches. There are various ways of how to be able to, to identify witches. However, if I can be completely honest with you, it's not always going to be obvious. It's going to be difficult to identify witches until you actually get to know someone. Then you begin to kind of, you can be able to kind of read and be able to understand and be able to discern. But there are some general points that we can be able to have, which will point out in the direction that such and such an individual, there's a different spirit that is at work. You know, we have a spirit of discernment be given to us from above. And if you have the spirit of discernment to be given to you, that is a gift itself. To discern spirits, the gift of discerning spirits, that itself is a gift that is given to us by the Holy Spirit of the Most High God. We have to be wise. We have to be discerning. Look at the people's eyes, and you'll be able to see a lot of things there. My brothers and sisters, we are at war not against flesh and blood, but against powers, against principalities, against rulers of the darkness of this world. You understand what I'm saying? Against spiritual wickedness fighting in high places. At the very top of Hollywood's entertainment is witchcraft. We must understand, here's the thing. Witches are often in high positions. Yeah, there are going to be many other, miniature witches here and there, maybe in your neighborhood, and you don't know about them. But the majority of those who are, let's say, Hollywood stars, at the very top, witches and wizards, warlocks. The occult is at the very top of these things. Even I believe at the churches, at the very, very, very top of the churches, watch out. When you see certain people, like they limit you, like, do you honestly think that Satan is not pulling strings in the churches, dictating how you should preach the word, dictating what message you should preach and what message you should not preach? You think Satan is not the one that's running that, monitoring that? Well, you think that Satan's not in the church? You think witches don't walk in the church? They do walk in the church. They will seduce you. They will seduce you and cause you to slip up and fall. You will sleep with them. And after they drain you, after they sleep with you, they dump you, they leave you. And they go. As long as they removed your anointing from you. That's what they're after, is also to rob you of your anointing, to rob you and to remove your covering from you. My friends, it's a wicked world we live in. You need to have discernment of these things. You see what I'm saying? So the thing is, even my experience working with this woman, I got a lot of insights that I was able to gather. There's a lot of things that if you tell to people in North America, it's just going to be hard for them to understand it. It's going to be hard for them to receive it. Tell people a lot of things about things that take place in the, talk to people about the marine kingdom. That's over their heads. A lot of people don't even know about the marine kingdom. There are spirits that rule the air, and there are those spirits that rule the land, and there are spirits that rule the waters. You see what I'm saying? So, my brothers and sisters, we must put on the whole armor of God. We must put on the whole armor of God. Pray for the spirit of discernment, and the Most High God will reveal to you who has what kind of a spirit. And you'll be able to look and you'll be able to discern, even just by looking at them in the eyes. God will be able to reveal to you the truth. You see what I'm saying? I don't want to hold you up and, bore you for too long here. Be very careful about, how you talk to people. You got to be careful how you talk to people, especially if you are spiritually weak. Don't go start provoking people and start fights with people. If you are spiritually weak, you never know. Maybe you're going to go and start a war with somebody who is into the occult, and then maybe they might put a hex upon you. You don't know that. But if you are spiritually weak, that's what's going to happen. Be careful. You need to be kind to everybody. And pray for the spirit of discernment, and God will reveal to you who is who and what spirit is inside which individual. You see what I'm saying? So the video is already long, and I don't want to drag it for too long because of the time and everything, but I want to cut the video over here. I'm going to continue this in another video as well. So I want to say thank you for tuning in and for joining me. Make sure that you give this video a thumbs up and also share this information with other people out there. And feel free to yeah, give it a thumbs up so that it helps this channel with the algorithms. All right. I'm not going to hold you off. Thank you for joining me. You take good care of yourselves. Be blessed, be safe, and I will see you in the next video.